Cris Carter, Hall of Famer. He is starting a new podcast in association with Blue Wire and WinBet. It's Wide Receiver One, WR1, launching this Thursday, and he talks to wide receivers every week, and not just about football, but also life and everything in between. He's got Julian Edelman, Allen Robinson, Calvin Johnson, Mike Evans, and Jarvis Landry. Cris Carter joining us. How are you, Chris?
Dan, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing okay. What's the common trait, characteristic with all these receivers? What do you have to have?
You have to be able to catch the football. You have to have a desire to continue to learning about the craft, and you can't be contact adverse. Like you have to enjoy the contact part of playing the position.
Okay, how do you get acclimated to getting hit that you kind of welcome the contact?
Well, there's certain things in every business that, they're not the glorified aspects of the business. And it's not that you have to like getting hit. You have to understand that if I understand the X's and O's, it can prevent a lot of collisions. But on occasions, the quarterback's going to throw me in there, and the defense is good too. And you have to give them credit. So it's accepting some of the hazards that go along with playing the position.
What's the best piece of advice you could give to a rookie wide receiver, like Jamar Chase with the Bengals, who's having a case of the drops? What would you tell him?
Well, all three of those catches were fairly difficult catches. If you look at the first one on third down, the corner was often in man. The ball was a little bit behind him on his back hip. A lot of times you're going to get that in those short yardage situations. So he drops that one. Not a very difficult catch, but I understand the ball being behind him. The next play, the coverage, they understood where he was coming. So he was kind of bracketed. So the corner kind of forced him inside. The quarterback delivered the ball, but the safety was breathing on him. So he had to make up his mind, do I lunge for this pass and get hit by the safety? And, you could see the alligator arms in that aspect. And then the other one, he was running the smash route against man-to-man. That's the worst coverage to have against that 5-yard dig inside because you have nothing to get the guy off of you. So it was going to be a tough catch anyway. So that's part of learning how to play in the NFL, trying to get more separation and realizing sometime on that catch number 2, it doesn't make sense to reach for that ball and that safety hit you in your face potentially.
What do you think is going on in Larry Fitzgerald's mind right now?
He's probably counting his money. I don't think he's going to play for free. He's definitely not going to play for the minimum. To me, Arizona, they have moved on. Now, they might have told him that maybe late in the season, but when you sign A.J. Green and you put him on a 1 year, you have DeAndre Hopkins, arguably the best in the business, and he's got a hefty price tag, and they got some good younger receivers that they've drafted over the last couple of years. So he's had a great career. The one thing that we all have in common when we play is one day you got to go. Some of us last longer than others. Some are invited. I mean, Tom Brady was not invited back to play in New England. That's why he went to Tampa Bay. And that's why he went Super Bowl 7 with Tampa Bay. It wasn't because, New England was just, they're offering him buckets of money. No, they didn't offer him a contract. And Larry Fitzgerald, I think, is facing a similar fate.
But he's 150 catches away from 115 away from Jerry Rice's number.
If he wants to catch like 40 passes over the next 3 years, because, Larry, he's not getting that much separation. And ultimately, you come to the end of your career. Like he's taking a spot away from another young player that should be developing out there playing. That's the reality to it. No one's going to break Jerry.
But when do you know it's time? Like you said, you don't create separation. I don't know if Larry has created separation for quite some time now, but he was still a very valuable asset to that offense. But as a wide receiver, when do you know?
Well, it's a combination of things. Is someone going to allow you to play that you can make a contribution to the game? And that's what he's been able to do the last several years there in Arizona. When do you know? It's very, very difficult because he's not going to find a job that's like playing in the NFL. So you're like a boxer. Do I take another fight and find out during the fight that something I should have retired on the last fight? So it's a tough situation. I believe you should play as long as a team is going to pay you to play. You should do it because there is no coming back, and there is no job that would replace being an NFL player.
Are gloves performance enhancing?
I just think that, given technology, we have to embrace technology. So, the gloves, they do help the wide receivers and defensive backs, linebackers, running backs, tight ends. They all benefit from it. So, it's not just the wide receivers' advantage. It's the technology. The cleats are better. The helmets are better. The shoulder pads are better. The material, the jerseys are made in is better. The Gatorade is a little bit better. So it's all better. So, I mean, what are we talking about?
You didn't wear them as a rookie.
Yeah, because we didn't wear gloves at Ohio State unless it was a certain temperature.
So you just when you got into the league, you weren't wearing them because you didn't wear them at Ohio State.
I mean, I just started off I didn't think I needed them. And then when the season is extended in college, you playing, Big Blue in late November, NFL, man, you got 5 or 6 more games potentially. And it's cold on the East Coast and that wind. And the guys delivering the ball in the NFL throw the ball harder. The NFL ball has a larger circumference. And when it gets cold, the point of it's a little bit harder. So it's harder to catch than any football out there. So the gloves become necessary with playing in the NFL, especially with the extended season. And if you're on the East Coast.
What do you think we're going to look at with wide receiving numbers as we move on with this, Chris, when we're looking at the Hall of Fame? That it used to be if you got to 1,000 catches, like you're a Hall of Famer. Now we're looking at 1,000 catches and going, I don't know. Like this pass happy league now, even the quarterbacking numbers here. Like what's that going to do? And what's it going to do to running back numbers? Can we say if you get to 10,000 yards, as it used to be, that you're a Hall of Famer? I'm just curious about these numbers with the way the NFL is going.
Well, I think you have to adjust the numbers, and it is only one game. So if you look at a guy who plays Larry Fitzgerald, if he was to start his career today and he was to play 17 seasons, I played 16 seasons. So it really just gives him, 17 more games than me over a career, which is really not that much, if you're out there playing. So the numbers have to be adjusted just like any other sport. I think that, to me, we've always looked at, 1,150, 1,200 yards as far as a receiver. Now, I believe it's probably going to be around 1,300 yards. You should be expecting the top receivers. And I think that the top guys will catch between 145 and 160 as far as, because they're targeted so much. So I think 145, maybe a little under 160. That would be the number when someone's having a record-breaking year.
Who was the defensive back that just figured you out or frustrated you the most?
Well, I don't think you get to the Hall of Fame with someone figuring you out. So, to me, I was in an era where there were some great, defensive backs. It was at the end of the era where Michael Haynes, and, arguably he's one of the people that invented the bump and run. So then you get into the Ronnie Lott, you get into the Rod Woodson, Deion Sanders, Darrell Green, Aeneas Williams. Like all these guys I played against multiple times. So the best way to try to describe it is when you're playing against a player like that, you're trying to have a stalemate. You're trying to draw even in that matchup to give your team still an advantage because he's not dominant like he is in the other games. Like you can't go into these matchups thinking I'm getting ready to dominate Aeneas. I'm getting ready to dominate Darrell Green. No, you want to have a stalemate with them. But if they slip up, you're going to be able to make some plays against them. And that's what's happened. They've made some plays against me. I made some plays against them. But I think that grouping of people, if there was a skill set that I would take of any of the DBs that I faced, I would say Dion, because he's a lot taller than people think. He's a technician more than people think. His arms are longer than people think. And bump and run is the toughest coverage. And he has that catch-up speed. Darrell Green has it, but Darrell doesn't have the size of Dion. And Darrell is more apt to let you off the line of scrimmage compared to Dion. He's going to fight you at the line and not give you an easy release. So the skill set, the body type, the sizzle, I got to go with Dion.
Did you ever talk trash while the ball is in the air?
No, that's impossible to do. Like, the game is very, very hard. The motoring skills to be able to catch a football and try to keep defenders and everything off of you. No, that's one of the few times. I know you might be a little surprised.
Yes,
but
I am.
One of the few times that you have your mouth. Yes. Like, even a person like you, if you were a wide receiver, you wouldn't be able to talk and run routes and everything.
I would try, though. I would, on that slant route that I'm famous for, I would do that. Now, if the ball's up in the air and you're going deep and you're like, oh, you're going to get burnt. Like, come on.
I think that it's too difficult to track a ball. Too many things can go wrong. And you got your full focus on that football when it's in the air.
Do you have a
most of the time?
Do you have a play that still bothers you at night?
No.
You don't think, oh God, I dropped that ball?
No, I think the Atlanta game of the '98 team, I'd like to be able to make another play in the game to give us an advantage, to give us a chance to go to the Super Bowl. But no. If there was something that's going to get me to the Super Bowl, I would be like, yeah, that. Tom Brady went 10. I would like one trip.
Would you rather catch a ball from Rodgers, Mahomes, or Brady?
Rodgers, Mahomes, or Brady? I'm probably going to say Patrick Mahomes, because I'm about velocity. The more velocity you have on the ball, the more RPMs, the less reaction time the defense has, and the more aggressive you can be on the defense. So it's not because I think he's better. Aaron throws a very good ball too. It's between those two. And just because they just have more RPMs than Tom Brady. If you said one pass.
Yeah.
Now, if you're going to play a game, you're going to play a season, you're going to play anything else, Tom Brady's going to win out on that because he's proved it. I mean, there's only been 55 Super Bowls. He's been in 10 of them.
Yeah. I remember Jerry Rice said Steve Young as a left-hander, like he threw it. It's a different ball coming from a left-hander. Do you buy into that?
No, it is. The spin, the rotation.
Yeah.
It's no different than a pitcher. I was talking to Dan Marino, and I'm going to go down and talk to the Dolphins probably before their first regular season game. And that will be one of the things that I will talk to them about, because probably 70% or more of society is right-handed. So most coaches even think right-handed. Most coaches are right-handed. Most coordinators are right-handed. Most quarterbacks are right-handed. So when you watch football, it's very, very hard to see them operate on the left side of the field. People say, well, man, with all the schematics and analytics and everything, but you can't overcome who you are. And almost everyone is right-handed. And the right-handed quarterback, when they throw the football, the ball comes off going from right to left because it comes off their hand this way. A left-hander, when they throw it, it comes off this way. So it's spinning the opposite way. So for instance, if I have a left-hand quarterback in Tua and I'm on the right side and I'm a receiver and I'm running anything that's breaking to the sideline, I have to be careful on my break because the ball will tail back into the field of play. All right? If I'm running a deep route, a deep post, and I stick the post, he throws it to me. It's coming from a lefty. It's going to spin away from me. So I'm going to have to maybe hit another gear. compared to if I'm the receiver on the left and he throws it to him, the ball's probably going to come back over my head more up the field. So those are the little things that we chart and we make mental notes so that they know that, oh, okay, if I'm running an out-breaking route on the left side and he's a lefty, the ball's going to break away from him. You can't overcome the spin and how the ball is going to be arriving. So the more information, it's like New England. The more information that they can give to the player, it allows the player to be able to adjust and be successful. And those are some of the things I've been teaching receivers for years.
Talking to Cris Carter, he's got a new podcast in association with Blue Wire and WinBet, and it launches Thursday, Wide Receiver 1, and he talks to Mike Evans, Calvin Johnson, Julian Edelman among the luminaries there. Maybe have LeBron on and talk about him when he was in high school as a wide receiver.
Well, the contact got him. I think, the people surrounding LeBron, he made All-State his sophomore year, but he broke his wrist. And that kind of ended his football aspirations. But as you have seen through the years, especially when he was with the Cavs, he's a big Buckeye fan. He shows up at the Horseshoe. He has amazing gifts that he sends the team, with his gear and everything throughout the last several years. So we're glad to have him aboard.
Could he have been Moss? Could he have been T.O.? Could he have been Calvin Johnson?
I think what he's done in the NBA, LeBron's a tough guy in the NBA. I don't know if he's a tough guy in the NFL. It's like, if it was that easy, Usain Bolt would be playing somewhere. But all of a sudden, Dan, guys come up out the surface and they hit you and they say things to you. And most track athletes, they don't have that type of temperament. And I would say NBA toughness is a different type of toughness and grit than what you need to play in the NFL. Now, I am going to tell you this. Guys have been successful the last 25 years. They're the basketball rejects. They're the guys that are small forwards and they average about 10, 12, 15 points, in college. And they're not good enough to play in the NBA. Antonio Gates, Gonzalez, these dudes, Jimmy Graham. I call them basketball rejects because NBA didn't want them, and they come into the league and they dominate because it becomes basketball on turf. So that is great to see that how the scouting department is finding these guys that, do have some basketball backgrounds.
It's great to catch up with you, Cris. And Cris had a great basketball background as well. Probably could have played basketball at Ohio State, couldn't you?
I could have definitely played basketball at Ohio State, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but, my football career was already launched. When I signed with Ohio State, I was supposed to play both, but then I got MVP in the Rose Bowl, and I got a little banged up. And then I really wanted to concentrate on my academics. And the weight coach, he challenged me to be the first All-American wide receiver in 110-year history, I think it was at the time. And he was like, you need to be with me at 6 a.m. twice during winter quarter, and you'll be the first All-American. You'll get that Buckeye tree. And I made a commitment to him, and we got it done.
How would you have done one-on-one with Moss in basketball?
I think Moss is a little bit better than me. He's a little longer than me. He's a little more athletic than me. I think that him and I could play on the same team because I could play the point. I'm not like you. I don't have to play the shooting guard. And then I can play some hell of a defense. So I think we'd be a hell of a backcourt combination. And we have taken down many of fools on the basketball court on the same squad. Yeah. Straight cash, homie. Yes, he always picks me.
Great to talk to you, Cris. Good luck with the podcast, and thanks for joining us.
All right. Thank you, Dan.
That's Cris Carter. We'll take a break. Last call for phone calls after this.